This is an MS Views and News interview with Samantha Salvaggio. She's a chronic illness guide, creator, and MS patient. Today, we're going to discuss how to ride the wave of getting new lesions and illness progression. And we're going to get into that right after the jump. Do you have new disease burden, like illness progression, MS did not stop like 17 years ago when you were diagnosed? Like,
I wish. That'd be great. No, I mean, I've always had about a relapse a year. Like that's just how my MS has been, or like a year and a half. But a lot of times those relapses like haven't had new lesions develop that like have been visible on the MRI. But this is the first one with a new lesion, like probably in at least a decade. So it's kind of like it was a big surprise.
this is a huge surprise. And like you
Yeah.
said, you've been getting MRIs every year. So like, the past more than a decade. And yeah, you've had episodes and bouts of symptoms and stuff, but nothing mechanically in the head and in the spine different. And so my brain is like, you're out here face forward and showing people how to show up and thrive, even when something is sucking all of their energy, their time, their pride, etc. And you still show up. So, how are you balancing the forward-facing Sam Salvaggio and the wait? What do you mean? There's more illness progression, doctor? Like, this has been my past year. Like, how is this getting worse? Like, how do you balance these two things?
Such a good question. I think like when I'm in an emotional like headspace and doing the grieving process and everything that comes along with it, I'm like in it and like submerged. Like I'm checked out, and I really like feel and try to work through and process all the emotions and stuff that come out, and I let myself cry or like get mad.
Oh,
And so I think by releasing that emotional energy, it allows me to like show up and be there and be present and enjoy the like positive moments or even just neutral
yeah.
moments that happen during the day.
So how do you coach people through that in your work? Like that's on your website as your billing, top billing. You coach people through this and really work with them to help get them on the other side of their thoughts about their symptoms and therefore their experience with them and through that. What is your approach like to empowering people like this?
I think it's important to like start with acceptance, and I like more of a radical acceptance approach where it's like this is not fun, this is not something I wanted, and it frankly sucks, but I can shift my focus to like things I can control
Hmm.
and like still live my life and find joy. And so I think that acceptance piece is first, and that can often like take a while, obviously. And then I think it's important to like build awareness about like how you feel and what helps like when you're sad, what helps when you're mad, like, and also awareness about how different lifestyle behaviors affect your illness and how you feel. Like if you get enough sleep, do you feel like what amount of sleep is good for you? And water and like what should you eat and that type of thing. So it's just like building that awareness of like what is good and bad. And then like adapting to it and figuring out how to incorporate those things into your life and like doing the small steps consistently and like slowly just building until you get to the point of thriving. And like that is the point where like I think I'm at, and but that doesn't mean like thriving is not exclusive to just like happiness and joy all the time. Like the thriving is more, you know yourself, you're in tune with yourself, you know that there's ups and downs and you can ride them when they happen, even if you're like so mad about it.
Oh, that part. That's a realistic perspective. Like, how do you continue to hone that realistic perspective for yourself and for other patients? Like you model it. So like I just unpack that a little bit more, please.
Mm, I think there's like things that I just remind myself, like if I am feeling like down, I mean, one thing I always say to myself is like nothing is permanent and change is the only constant. So like you may feel this way now,
Mm,
not going to feel like it forever.
Mm.
So like find some solace in that. And then let's see. I mean, that's a big one. And then I usually shift my focus to like action and like doing things. And so that's where like the having awareness of what helps and what doesn't, and then doing those things kind of occupies myself to, I don't like just focus on something else.
Yeah, no, it's like a balance of hope and realism, and
Yeah.
being a real with what's here right now, but also being looking toward the future. And I'm not even gonna say hope. Like hope was crushed at the
Yeah.
bottom of Pandora's box, baby. Like
Right.
just just a different type of focus or just even belief. I believe that some well version of myself is out there somewhere. I've yet to embody that person. And that does not mean that I have to be sad right here, right now. Like the sad can come, but like there's it's a roomy poem, like it's the guest house.
Mm,
And all of these the things are just coming in and out, and sadness and anger and grief and all of the stuff. They come in, but they don't live in this house, this
yes.
vessel, this body. They can come, they can stay, they can mess all the stuff around, but eventually they have to leave because this is not their place. This is my place. And
Right.
I do what I can to usher them out or let them stay and give them a drink.
Yeah.
Put your feet up on the couch.
Right.
We're gonna watch the basketball game right now, baby. But
Yeah.
eventually, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, and there's some grace in that, and there you have to one has to learn how to do that for their own selves. Like, how did you begin to learn how to do that for yourself, which leads to how are you even becoming a coach for other people with MS?
To answer your first question, it was a lot of trial and error. So like
Mm.
at first I had to really get okay with messing up. And like I'm a perfectionist and I don't like not knowing what's going on or not having control or and everything chronic illness brings. And so it was first just like having a lot of self-talk to be like, you can try something, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't work out. Like, and then if it doesn't work out, you still learn something, so like let's focus on that. um and that is really hard. Like people in general, like no one likes to not know what's going on or to fail, but there's a lot of times in life when you have to just try stuff and see how it goes and trust yourself with it. But it's really hard, like, especially when you're first diagnosed.
Especially when you're first diagnosed, or you've been diagnosed for 10 years and you're like, I'm sick of this. I got to try something. I got to do
Oh my
something.
God.
What is this? And you try this and you try that. And you're like, no, I can't do this. I can't try that. Or even if you try something and it doesn't work out well, like the feelings that come along with that. But I'm the type of guy,
Mhm.
like, if it doesn't work well, maybe it just didn't work well right then in that right now moment. Let's see what happens if I show up for 5 weeks. And if it still doesn't
Yes.
work, then fine, maybe I'll consider doing something else. But that resilience, that stick to itiveness, that belief in something outside of the modality that you're doing, that's the thing that people have to find and people have to bring out in themselves. And if they don't believe that it's there, I know that it's only because you're not taking the time to figure that out, or you're giving more energy to other thoughts and emotions, or you're not giving enough grace to yourself. Those sorts of things are really what rob people of the experience to be able to expand their own experience even with the condition.
Yeah, and it's so important to just get okay with being uncomfortable. Like
Mm.
just in general, like people run from any like things that are hard or the difficult emotions and stuff like that. And it's like, you want the sadness to pass really quick or the anger to pass really fast. And you just want to get to acceptance. And it just doesn't work that way. And like it's okay to like be in an uncomfortable place. Like obviously it's not fun and no one wants it, but like it's like you don't have to run from the sadness, because that's not going to help you in the long run.
How are you out here leveraging all of the work that you're doing and all of your nutritional knowledge, and
Uh,
all of your what is it? You have a master's in nutrition, something like that?
yeah,
And
yeah.
what was your BA? Oh, your BA was pharmacological study.
BS, yeah,
So like
pharmaceutical sciences, yeah,
you're a pharmacist and a nutritionist,
kind of, yeah, no,
right? Right? You know,
close, yeah.
you have the you can take that test, is what I'm saying. So like the
Well,
pharmacist and then
not completely, but kind of,
I'm being glib to be like, no, you have
yeah.
pharmacological studies, and you have nutritional studies, and you
Mhm.
meld those to be present for the audience on behalf of all MS patients. And that's kind of like how I'm just like, yeah, no, come into this space, talk about what drives you, what sparks you, how do you get around the big stops and the walls, and what does it look like when the walls are bigger than you would like them to be, or when you're like, wait a second, I can't even see because optic neuritis is messing me up because this disease is just keeps continues to eat me up. Oh, so I'm like, no, come into this,
Yeah,
talk about this, please.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the pharmaceutical sciences and kind of happened that happened before I was diagnosed. So I was diagnosed when I was 19. So I had picked my like major and stuff already, and it was because I like math and science. And it's a pre-med major. And so like it was just kind of oddly serendipitous that I chose that, because all like the medical terminology classes and OChem and everything just really like helped me understand like how to read research and the language in the research, and how to advocate for myself in the healthcare system in a different, like more insider way, which was just really beneficial ultimately, like with MS. And let's see, so I did the pharmaceutical sciences degree, and then I went into the workforce for a few years, and during that time I started eating really healthy in comparison to how I was.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my god, like food is like where it's at, like this can really change how you feel. Yeah, because like my fatigue was so bad, and
Yeah.
uh maybe pain too, and it was like, oh my god, this is giving me so much energy and I feel so much better. So
Mhm.
then I went back to school for that, and I got more involved with sustainable agriculture and like farming and local food and that, and just whole unprocessed foods, um, through that schooling.
Mhm.
And so that helped me with MS too. And then I got into fitness more and really like fine tune that, and shifted like my whole life around, and kind of like, I mean, I lost a lot of weight, but it wasn't about that. It was just like I was healthier and happier.
Yeah.
And um, then I realized like, oh, all these things like movement and food and like knowing about MS from like a science perspective has been so helpful in me managing this illness, and like getting me to a point where I like, feel okay about it, or at least like I'm not like livid. And so
Today,
it was
right
like, wow, this
now,
is really
at this hour
important.
in time, like,
Yeah, yeah, like I can smile right now, this second, yeah.
Hmm.
And then I realized I had a coach, like my personal trainer at the time, like be like, this is a really unique like perspective, and you should really like lean into this. And I didn't want to in the beginning, and then like I started sharing, and I realized that he was right. And so I started, like sharing more, and then decided to like make it a business and
Yeah.
start helping people. And the rest is history.
As they say. So
Yeah.
what is something that you're finding as you're making this history with like it's underestimated by if you don't have MS, but you see other people with MS, and you kind of are like, what do you think people without MS underestimate in people with MS?
Ooh, That you have good questions. I think they underestimate how often it infiltrates our life. Like, I don't think that people realize, and obviously everyone's different, but I don't think they realize like how many times a day it comes up. Or like especially now, like for me, I'm going through like increased symptoms. So I'm like dropping stuff more and running into stuff and, losing my balance and that type of thing. And I don't think like by the time if someone saw me at 6 p.m., I've already like thought about MS like probably 50 times that day. Like, and so it just is like on your mind constantly. And depending on how you feel about it, it can be really heavy.
Yeah.
So I don't think people totally get how much that heaviness and everything just like impacts our overall mood and life.
As they say in the hood, that part. Yeah, that part.
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
where can people find you on the interwebs?
They can find me on TikTok and Instagram at SL Salvaggio. The last name is SALV as in Victor, AGGIO. Wow. And then I have a website that's my full name, so SamanthaSalvaggio.com. And I have a newsletter you can sign up for and a blog on there. And then in the future, I'm working on like some self-guided courses and ebooks and stuff about like what MS is, like an MS 101, like you're diagnosed, here's the deal, like here's just basics. And then one on kind of the stuff I talked about earlier, like accepting and becoming more aware and adapting to get to the thriving part. So those should be coming soon, but well, time is elusive, so we'll see.
No, thank you for putting us on to your resources and putting us onto your mindset and what it takes to continue to show up in the face of this stuff. And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on another MS Views Now.